Hey friends, so are we only a few days away from one of the biggest UFO disclosures in the history of humanity?
Welcome back, guys. There's a lot to go over tonight. There's a lot of disclosure coming our way, apparently. So, what do you think? What's your take on it? Are we going to get this disclosure off Dr. Stephen Greer and all these people that are coming forward? I hope so. I genuinely hope so. I think this could be one of the most important weeks of human history. Genuinely. If they stick to the word.
Hey friends, so are we only a few days away from one of the biggest UFO disclosures in the history of humanity? Well, according to Stephen Greer, yes. I've had tons of people ask me my opinion on Stephen Greer and this upcoming disclosure. So, this is my thoughts on it. What he is saying, and he's very confident in this, and he goes back decades. He's been working on this for a very long time, and he's very confident with these dates, saying that before the inauguration, which is in 8 days, about a week, that this coalition of whistleblowers is coming together. They've been working with him for like 2 years, drafting up all the stuff, gathering all the evidence, and organizing themselves because what they're going to tell the world is going to shock everybody. And it's going to put their lives at risk because a lot of them are breaking NDAs. They are going to be talking about classified information. There's all sorts of things these guys are supposedly going to be doing that is very, very risky, would land them in jail for life or worse. So what they're doing is this sort of shock and awe campaign where they're all coming together and they're going to release just a treasure trove of evidence, and they're going to do it unmasked, meaning they're going to do it with their real names and identities and faces, and they're going to do it together, and they're doing it with this kind of organized process through Stephen Greer, where he is releasing it to all the biggest influencers in the world, all the biggest media outlets in the world, and all the governments at the same time. So it's kind of like, squeezing all the toothpaste out of a tube and trying to put it back in. You can't do it. So at this point, all the toothpaste, it'd be like jumping on a tube of toothpaste and just all the paste comes out. And then the governments are all just like, well, shit, like, what do we do now? So they're taking it seriously. And he says that these guys all work at like what are called black sites, which means they're like the top secret sites around the world. They work in these underground bases, that they all work on sensitive material, that they all have firsthand knowledge of extraterrestrials, alien craft, the fact that we have exotic technologies and free energy and all this stuff, right? So this is what he's been saying. He's been making the media rounds, going on all the podcasts and going on talk shows and news and talking about this. And he's very confident. So, is it going to happen? Well, my spidey senses tell me it just might, because the fact that he's putting out this short timeline, he's not saying, oh, within the next year, because a lot of UFO whistleblower people will be like, coming this year or next year in 2027. They put out these dates and they know people will forget about it by then, or they can't be held directly responsible because they can say, oh, well, a lot changed in the last 2 years. Stephen Greer is saying this week, next week, okay? Very specific, and he cares about his credibility. He uses his credibility as leverage to do the things that he does. So I don't think he would just throw that out there if he didn't really believe it. And also, I think that these whistleblowers are taking advantage of the fact that this Trump organization seems to be hell-bent on truth, transparency, out with the old guard, in with the new, and leading us into this age of prosperity, this golden age that Trump keeps talking about. Well, what is the best way to usher in the golden age? How about free energy? How about something that instantly transforms our entire civilization, every civilization on the planet? It would transform our trajectory of humanity. It would put us in a state where now all of a sudden we can start reversing the harm we've done to the planet. We can reduce pollution. We can bring electricity and fuel to nations that don't have it. We can, do all sorts of amazing things essentially overnight, because according to Stephen Greer, these technologies exist. We have them. The governments have already reverse engineered them. They use them. They just don't tell the public because it would out their whole program. Then they would have to say where they got this stuff from, right? And according to Greer, they get it from downed, crashed, UAP, which are extraterrestrial craft. Whether these craft are given to us for this purpose, to give these technologies to humanity, or whether we are downing them with like EMPs, I'm not sure. Now, I don't agree with everything Stephen Greer says. He is a little overly optimistic, if you ask me. He says that basically he talks in absolutes. So he'll say, oh, all the things you're seeing in the sky, the drones and stuff, that's all man-made. That's it, all of it. Even the orbs are all man-made. And it's like, okay, I don't believe that. Some of this stuff is exotic, because some of this stuff's been going on since before for hundreds of years, for thousands of years. Okay. I've seen these things in person, and I get an organic vibe from it sometimes. Now some of it is man-made. I guarantee you we have, UFO that are mistaken for extraterrestrial, that are man-made. I know that's the case. So it's a mixture. So I don't get why he always says absolutes like that. And he also says all ETs are benevolent. They're all nice and they all want good for humanity. I don't buy that either. I mean, I don't think the universe works in absolutes. I think that there's a duality to nature, and that there's not necessarily good and bad, but there's negative and positive. And sometimes beings, especially intelligent beings, will do something to you, not because they're evil, but because you're just caught in the crossfire. For example, if a human developer wanted to build apartments here and they came in and they tore down all these forests like they do all the time, well, we would be seen as evil to the deer and the bears and the fox and everything in this forest. Well, are those developers evil, inherently? No, they're just doing their job. But to all the woodland creatures out here, they're evil. So I don't get this thing where he says humans are bad and ETs are good. I don't think it's that cut and dry. But I do agree with a lot of what he says. And when it comes to the whole disclosure thing coming up, this week is going to be crazy. I mean, I don't know what to expect. I mean, we have the inauguration coming up. I don't know if somebody's going to do something to try to stop it. I don't know if these whistleblowers are going to come out and capitalize on this. If that's the case, we're talking about the biggest disclosure in the history of the world. They're talking about people coming out and proving, not just saying it, but proving is what he's saying, is that they're going to prove we're not alone in the universe, that ETs are visiting us, that we have relationships and programs with them, and that we have their technology. Oh my God. Can this year get any more bananas? So I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm saying there's a decent chance it's going to happen because of the confidence Greer is exerting behind this. And he doesn't typically do that. He's a confident guy for sure, but I've never heard him put a timeline like this on something, especially something this big. So it's going to be a wild week, guys. Buckle up and let me know what you guys think about this. Have a beautiful day. Peace.
The promising thing about this is the timeline. If it's less than a week, rather than, like you said, off in a year or two of promising this and promising that, where people do forget, then that's promising. Well, only time will tell. Fingers crossed.
So some breaking news. A new whistleblower is going to show never before seen footage of a crash retrieval on Saturday the 18th.
I hope the Lord this isn't true. Do not go down the rabbit hole and Google LA 2.0, because I did. And what I'm getting out of it, LA 2.0. If you haven't heard about it, go look this stuff up. You know those properties that was in California that, burned due to natural wildfires, right? That same area in 2028 is going to be where the Olympics is played. Go look it up. You can go look this stuff up. It's already said that the Olympics are going to take place in 2028 in the northern areas of California. Areas including like the Pacific Palisades, Santo Fernando's, all those areas up there happens to be the area where this new LA 2.0. If you don't believe me, go look it up. It's a project that's going to be enforced by the Marshall Plan, right? And this LA 2.0 is going to take up 40,000 acres. Yes. You can go look this stuff up. I went down a rabbit hole and found about this stuff. It's just funny. This is, like I said, this is for entertainment purposes only. It is just kind of suspicious that the same area that got burned down through natural wildfires is the same area where this new LA 2.0 is going to come. Smart LA. It's one of those. I've been hearing it. LA 2.0, Smart LA. It's one of the two. That is actually kind of freaking weird. I'm gonna knock your socks off for this one, because if you are not ready to go down this rabbit hole, do not go down it. And like I said, TikTok, this is for entertainment purposes only. Can you guess where the last natural wildfire happened at? You're correct, Hawaii. Can you guess where the next smart city is planned to be reconstructed at? If you guess Hawaii, you were correct. It's all a coincidence until it's not a coincidence.
Please, for the love of God, tell me that I'm wrong. Did you know that in 2028, the Olympics is going to be held in Los Angeles County? But not just Los Angeles County, but it includes all of the northern regions of Los Angeles County. Places which include the Pacific Palisades, the San Fernando Valley, and Altadena, which just so happens to be the place that is burning right now. And then I keep hearing about 2028 Smart LA, which is Governor Newsom's plan to prepare Los Angeles County and all the surrounding areas for the influx of millions upon millions of people that will be coming for the 2028 Olympics. And Newsom has emphasized for a comprehensive recovery plan, which he's calling the Marshall Plan, for, get ready for this, LA 2.0. The entire reconstruction, which would cover over 40,000 acres. I mean, this is just for informational purposes only, but it's coincidence until it's not.
What I'm going to do now is give you a little story time, not from me, from Spooky Stories. She's amazing at telling the stories. They're all true stories. The people contacting her. Listen to them. They're intriguing, very interesting. And I'll see you on the next video. Thank you for joining me again. Ciao, ciao.
This spooky scary story time is about a revenge spell that backfired, and it was sent to me by someone named Yara, not her real name. She did not want to be named in this story, but she told me that she is Mexican American. Her parents are from Mexico. Her grandparents, everybody in her family is from Mexico. Her great grandmother on her maternal side was apparently a curandera, which is a highly respected medicine woman in Mexico who works with brujeria and healing forces as opposed to dark magic and malicious spells in Mexico. She said curandismo has come naturally to her, being the eldest daughter growing up in Mexican culture, and her great-grandmother was also a clairvoyant, which was also why she was highly respected. She says she practices with burning candles and doing velaciones. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but it's basically altar practices. She also reads tarot cards with crystals. And y'all, please don't come for me about butchering these pronunciations. I think Spanish is a beautiful language and I'm doing my best. I love you. Please love me back. She said limpias are also cleanses that she does when she feels like she needs one. She says she keeps these practices alive in her life because she wants to continue her great-grandmother's legacy and make her proud. And she also feels like her great-grandmother has gifted her with strong intuition and power as well. She said in 2020, she was fresh out of a relationship. She was 19, the guy was 21. She said it was already not off to a great start, and she was primarily used for means of attention and physical affection from the guy. She says the relationship was manipulative from the start, and she found out a month after they broke up that the guy was actually already seeing another girl from his class. She said obviously she didn't know until it was too late because she was young and impressionable. She was really hurt when he broke up with her one day out of the blue because she really liked him. It was one of her first relationships and she had high hopes for it. She said she was really infatuated with him because he was older, he was cool, and they had already met each other's families. Like, she just thought it was going to last. So she was obviously really upset when he broke up with her out of the blue. She didn't know why. She said at that time she was like very petty. She does some lurking. She finds out through Insta that he has already been seeing this girl who she had met at a party. She's just like, really, you're just going to like leave me for her? So she keeps kind of like lurking him on the internet as the months go on. And she said she had a temper. She was very vengeful and she wanted them to break up. A year goes by. They are still together. She's on summer break from school, and one night she just decides she's going to look up some revenge spells. She said at this point, like, her family knew that she had tapped into her spiritual side and her mom liked it, but she often warned her that brujas always heal, they never hurt. And she also said that any bad words that she spoke of anyone or any bad things that she did to anyone would always come back to hurt her. She didn't care. She did the spell anyway, and she told me how she did it. I debated if I should include how she did the spell, but I'm going to include it for storytelling's sake. Don't do this. Be good. Remember, this will hurt you. She said you take a bottle, you fill it with something rotten or with a bad odor, you write the person's name on a piece of paper, you put it in the bottle, and you fill it with sharp objects with candles burning in the background. In her case, she used toothpicks. She said you take the bottle, you bury it outside, and then that person is going to get all the negative energy that's in that bottle. They could get sick, or even worse things could happen. So she does it with her ex's name, and she said she was filled with hate and disgust for him, so she didn't care if she hurt him. So she's sitting in a dark room, she writes his name, she fills the bottle, and she said her dog was sitting in the room with her because her dog was clingy and just liked her presence. She says as she finishes writing the name with her candles burning in the background, her dog jumps up. It was a pit bull mix, and she was known to be very protective, especially with people she didn't like. She said she had like a stretch of hair on her back that would stand up whenever she really didn't like someone. The door is closed. Her dog jumps up and faces the door. All that hair on her back goes up, and she crouches down like she's about to pounce on something. She wasn't barking, she wasn't growling, but she was staring like she was seeing something outside the door. This obviously freaks Yara out because she's doing a revenge spell, and she said she knew nobody was outside of her closed bedroom door. She jumps up, she blows out all the candles, she grabs her dog and hugs her and starts repeating out loud, "You are not welcome here, you will not stay." And she starts begging for forgiveness for whatever she let in. She immediately takes the jar, the name, everything outside and starts burning it, thinking how stupid she is for letting something malicious in when she was trying to do a stupid revenge spell. She slept with her dog on her bed that night and luckily didn't have any bad dreams. She thanked her dog for protecting her, and the next day she takes Florida water, which is basically a really old aftershave that's used for a lot of magic work, and mops her house with it to protect her home. She said Florida water is very powerful when you use it combined with strong intention. She says in practice she's never had a bad experience again, but she knew then and there to never wish harm on anyone, no matter how much they've hurt you or what they've done to you, because what's waiting on the other side can be infinitely worse than whatever you're wishing upon them. Yara said she sent this story because she wants everyone to know that practicing these spells and rituals is not a grain of salt. Everything that you do will come back to you, and it's important to practice with the intention of healing and helping people only. She said vengeance will only bring something more sinister into your life, and to sleep at night knowing that you are giving all the love you can, even to those who hurt you. She says revenge isn't worth it, and she also wanted to thank her great-grandmother because she thinks she might have had something to do with it. Maybe she was the spirit at the door that came to her to say, "What are you doing? Don't do it." Yara ended her email by saying she is doing well and she only uses her practice and her powers for good. I'll keep adding stories like this to this playlist, and also if anybody has any ex, dating, first date, weirdo stories, send those to me because in February I'll be doing a spooky, scary dating story time series. Do good, stay bad, my little creeps.